Six Flags Magic Mountain in Southern California is best known for their great collection of roller coasters, although they do have other rides and attractions to offer. It is home to 19 roller coasters, and thanks to my recent visit a few weeks ago, I have now ridden all of them that I'm allowed to, and in this video I will be counting them down from my least favorite to my favorite. As always, this is just my opinion, based on my preferences and experiences, so please don't be offended by any of the placements on my list. Your opinion is just as valid as mine. So let's get into it. Numbers 19 through 16 will be the kiddie/junior coasters. Because I'm not allowed to ride Magic Flyer, it automatically is the worst in the park. Even if you have a kid with you, you're not allowed to ride it if you're too tall. 18 is Speedy Gonzales, 17 Roadrunner, and 16 Canyon Blaster, which is actually an excellent kiddie coaster. 15 is Scream, the B&M Floorless. It runs quite rattly, which means headaches and some headbanging is likely. It's still not terrible, it just could have been a lot better. 14 is Gold Rusher, the Aero Mine Train. I have nothing bad to say about this. It's a very good mine train and uses the terrain really well. 13 is New Revolution, the Schwarzkopf Looper. It rides like a family coaster. Even the loop feels pretty gentle. It's very enjoyable, has nice views, uses the terrain well, and it has historic significance, featuring the first modern vertical loop back when it opened. 12 is Goliath, the Gaiavanole Hyper. For anyone who has only ridden rides in Southern California, they will probably put this higher because of how tall and fast it is, but other than that, it doesn't really do much and has almost no airtime. Titan at Six Flags Over Texas is better, but it's not a bad ride. One huge positive is that it rides perfectly smooth with no hint of a rattle, and those things cannot be said about any B&M Hyper. 11 is a new credit that I just picked up, Apocalypse, the GCI wooden coaster. I thought I might end up putting this higher, but it's still a very good ride. The airtime was quite weak for me, but it still has those rapid transitions and the good kind of roughness that GCIs are known for. Plus it has tunnels, a station flyby, and even some theming. I put it on the lower end of the GCIs I've ridden, but it's still good. Number 10 will be Batman the Ride, the B&M Invert. Yes, it's a clone, but it's a good clone. If someone hasn't ridden any other Batman clone, they may put this higher. It's very intense and whippy with strong positive forces. Number 9 is Ninja, the Aero Suspended Coaster. I love this type of coaster, and they are very rare. I never rode Big Bad Wolf, so Ninja is my favorite suspended coaster. I love the feeling of dangling below the track in a basket, and this is one of the faster suspended coasters also, and it utilizes the terrain well. Number 8 is Superman Escape from Krypton, the Intamin Launch Coaster. This doesn't do much. You launch out backwards, go up, then come back down forwards. However, it's such a fun ride. I love that unique launch. Since it's launching for like 6 or 7 seconds, you have plenty of time to feel the launch as you gradually and gently accelerate all the way to 100 miles an hour. Front row, which is labeled as row 4, is the way to go on this. Number 7 is the brand new coaster, West Coast Racers, the Dueling Launch Coaster by Premier. You get to ride both sides without having to get off, and it's a guaranteed duel every time. The initial high five element has great sideways ejector airtime. There's not much airtime to speak of beyond that, but you get some hang time, and it's just so much fun watching the other train that you're racing. The launches are gentle, and it does ride like a family coaster despite the inversions. The discomfort collars ruined my first ride as I got head banging, ear banging, jaw banging, and neck banging. After that, I held onto the collars, and that prevented that from happening again, and I was able to enjoy the ride. It is so frustrating to me that these parks keep putting in these unnecessary discomfort collars on Premier rides. I think that if it were lap bars only, this would move up 1, maybe even 2 spots. Next is a controversial pick. I've got my flame suit on. Number 6 is Tatsu, the B&M Flyer. This will be in many people's top 3, and I understand why. It's such a unique riding position, riding on your belly, and you get such amazing views as you traverse along the mountainside. The giant pretzel loop was not as enjoyable as it was on my last visit. I think I like the smaller pretzel loops more. Plus, it was quite rattly on this visit, but it still has a lot of great things going for it. My next 3 picks will also be controversial, as very few people will have any of these next 3 in their top 5. But my number 5 is Riddlers Revenge, the B&M stand-up coaster. I am figuring out that I absolutely love these B&M stand-up coasters. Carowinds Vortex isn't that good, but the other 4 that I've done have all been great, including Cedar Point's Mantis, RIP. Darn you, Cedar Point, for turning that into a floorless. It was better as Mantis, in my opinion. Green Lantern at Great Adventure is still my favorite stand-up, but Riddler's Revenge is a very close second. It features 6 inversions, including that awesome loop around the lift hill. I have realized that the B&M rattle doesn't bother me one bit when I'm in a standing position. Plus, for coasters with these B&M over-the-shoulder restraints, which put rock-hard bars right next to your head, I realize that I have been able to avoid headbanging much easier in a standing position than in a sitting position. I just grab the bars and lean my head forward. This usually works with B&Ms, but it always works 100% of the time with their stand-up coasters. Plus, I love being able to feel the strong G-forces going all the way down my legs. Not everyone will like that. Some people might even find it painful, and they will rank this coaster lower, but I love that feeling. Number 4 is going to be a new credit from this last trip, Viper, the Aero Mega Looper. It's my second favorite Aero Looper behind Kings Island's Vortex, RIP. Viper features 7 inversions and has great views. Unfortunately, it doesn't have airtime on the first drop like some other Aero Loopers, but you can really feel that tremendous speed. Then you have that loop that's like 800 feet in the air. Then you turn into the very intense and forceful double loops. In fact, on my last ride on Viper, I actually blacked out on the double loops, and I have never blacked out before. I rarely gray out, so that speaks to the strength of this ride that it has given me my only lifetime blackout. Next up is a bat wing, which is always great, then the double corkscrews with great hang time. To avoid headbanging, I grab the restraints and lean my head forward. It works 100% of the time on all Aero Loopers. It never fails. I never get headbanging with any of their rides. If you do, try my strategy. It'll probably work, then you'll love these Aero Loopers also. Number 3 is Full Throttle, the premier launch coaster, and I think this is one of the most underrated coasters in the world. People trash on this ride relentlessly. They will say that the hang time in the loop is great, but I never hear anyone say anything else good about it. But this ride is all around excellent. The launch is great. You get the world's best upside-down view as the distant mountainous landscape comes into view as you're going through the loop, and you have plenty of time to take in that view. It rides glossy smooth, has a great dive loop, plus an awesome surprise, which I won't spoil. You finish off the ride by riding on top of the loop, which gives great airtime. And best of all, this is not a short ride. It drives me crazy when people call this short. Remember, there's no lift hill with this ride. Coasters with a lift hill may have a ride duration of 2 minutes 45 seconds, but nobody will call it short. But when 2 minutes is spent on the lift hill, you're actually getting 45 seconds of action, which is what you get out of Full Throttle. It's not a short ride. It's not long either, but it's not short. It's average duration. It has never felt short or incomplete to me. I totally love this highly underrated coaster. In fact, most premier coasters without the discomfort collars are highly underrated. My top 2 is not going to be a surprise. It's a lot of people's top 2. It's just a matter of which one do you like more. For me, number 2 is going to be Twisted Colossus, the RMC hybrid coaster. And on very rare occasions, you may actually get a duel on one of your 2 laps. This is another one where you get to ride both sides without having to get off the train. The drops are awesome, the airtime is insane. You get some very strong ejector airtime, floater airtime, twisted airtime, hang time. Counting both laps, there are 18 airtime hills, plus 2 inversions. This rode so much better for me on this last visit than it did on my first visit. When you are able to get a duel on one of the laps, it's even better. But even without the dueling, it's still an amazing ride. But my number 1 coaster at the park is indeed X2, the Aero 4D coaster, the last coaster ever made by Aero. It has the best views while going up the lift hill, then you take that unbelievable first drop face first. This is extremely intense and very aggressive. You're facing backwards, you're facing forwards, you're on your back, you're on your belly, you're on the left side of the track, you're on the right side of the track. It is complete madness and so exhilarating. There is nothing else like it on this side of the planet. It's not about the airtime on this one, it's just complete insanity. And that's what makes it my favorite in the park. So that's how I rank the coasters at Magic Mountain. But be sure to let me know in the comments what your favorites are. And once again, your opinions are just as valid as mine. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.